Hello and welcome to Wagner's Tech Talk. I'm John, and today we're going to talk about the RG300X from Anbernic. We'll unbox it, play a few games, all to help you decide if this device is for you. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we move on over to the unboxing, let's take a quick look at the specifications. It has a JZ4770 1GHz CPU, which is the same CPU that you would find on the RG350, 350M, and the 280M devices. It has 512 megabytes of DDR2 RAM. It has a 3-inch IPS OCA display at 640 by 480 pixels. This unit does have two microSD slots, however the unit I received only had one microSD card included for the firmware, and the games would go in the secondary microSD slot, which you may want to double check and make sure wherever you order it from, it includes games if that's what you're looking for, or of course you can add your own. It does have stereo speakers, which is really nice, and the sound quality is very good. It has a 2500 milliamp hour battery, which will give you roughly 6 hours of playtime. And it does have HDMI output as well. I'd like to say a big thank you to Anbernic who sent this device for review. Now let's go ahead and open the package and see what it looks like. It's nice to see a color box. The packaging on prior devices has typically been rather plain, so yeah, that's nice to see. And let's take a look at the sides here. There's the specs, which we've already covered, and there's some guy sitting on an RG300X. I don't know what's up with that. Anyways, the box includes a console, a charging cable, and a user's manual. We'll go ahead and open it up, and we'll set the RG300X to the side, see what accessories we have. It includes a USB-C to USB Type-A cable for data and charging, and comes with the familiar fold-out manual that is typical for most RG devices. We'll go ahead and open it up, and the first thing that caught my attention is how shiny these shoulder buttons are. I mean...
Ooh, is it shiny?
Pretty shiny!
Ooh.
This is the first time I've ever seen chrome-plated shoulder and start and select buttons on an RG handheld. It's quite evident that the design decision here is to make the device look like a Game Boy Micro, which was released in the US in November of 2005. And if you're a big fan of that design, you'll probably like this device. On the far left, you have your reset button, your micro SD card for your firmware, your micro SD card for your games, and a headphone jack over here on the far right. And a quick tip, if you're not sure which one's which, just flip it over on the back and it'll show you what everything is. Looking from the back of the unit, on the far left we have the DC power input, a mini HDMI port for connecting it to a TV or monitor, and an OTG connection on the far right. Looking from the front left, you have your volume control. I personally prefer the dial control, but that's fine. I mean, this is functional. Since this unit didn't have a micro SD card with games, I went ahead and put some games on this particular card and popped it in the device. The finish that Anbernic has put on this machine makes it a definite fingerprint magnet, so you will have fingerprints all over the chrome buttons and the back of the machine. After handling it for just a short time, this is what it looks like. In contrast, on the RG351M, you can hardly even see any fingerprints, so just something to keep in mind. On the RG300X, the D-pad is raised slightly higher than the RG351M, and the buttons are pretty much exact on both devices. I don't see any significant difference between the two. Speaking of buttons, the buttons do feel very good, as well as the D-pad. I didn't find any issues there. It had a nice feel to it. Now we'll go ahead and power on the machine and see how long it takes to boot. The included firmware is running OpenDingix, which is the same operating system found on the RG350 and 350M, 280M, among others. The boot time was around 10 seconds, which is very fast. Both the select and start buttons on the front are backlit, and some may find it distracting when playing this unit in low light conditions. The RG351M has a larger and slightly more vibrant display panel than the RG300X. However, the RG300X is more pocketable as you don't have any sticks to get in the way. I'd like to mention if you head on over to wagnerstechtalk.com/RG350 tips, it'll take you to perhaps the largest collection of RG350 information available on the internet. This guide covers all aspects of not only the RG350, but is also applicable to the RG300X. You'll find information, as well as videos, on how to add additional emulators, button hotkeys or shortcuts, and a trove of information to help you get the most out of your device. Now let's power it up and play some games. To navigate the top menu or tabs, you use the left or right shoulder buttons. Use the D-pad to navigate or highlight your selection, and press A to select the application or the emulator. The emulators menu is where you'll want to go to launch your arcade or console games. The games menu has a selection of freeware, shareware, and ports available as well. For example, we'll take a quick look at Block Rage. And now we'll check out a few games on various emulators just so you can get a good feel for it. And keep in mind the games that I'm going to be showing you here, they were not already pre-installed. I did add these myself. We're going to take a look at Super Mario Brothers on the NES. By default, the display size on the Game Boy emulator is rather small. To correct that, press the power button on the right side. Then you want to move down to the settings menu option. Take the select scaler option. And I'm going to set it for full screen fast. Press A. And there we go. Press B to back out. And now you'll be able to see the display better. And we'll go ahead and play some Asteroids. Moving on to the Game Boy Advance emulator, we're going to take a look at Super Mario World. And here's the SNES playing Donkey Kong Country. And now we'll take a look at Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on Sega Genesis. And lastly, we'll look at the PlayStation 1 playing Tekken 3. I'm going to now move the device closer to the microphone so you can hear the speakers, which sound really great. And now we'll check out the HDMI output. Here I'm plugging in a mini HDMI cable that's going to my recording equipment and from there to the monitor. The first thing you'll notice is the display is stretched, and you can fix that usually by going into the settings inside your monitor. So for example, I'll switch over here and go in and change the aspect ratio to 4:3, which now looks quite a bit better. And we'll go ahead and play a little Donkey Kong while we're at it. And just so you know, the display that's output to the TV or monitor is at 640 by 480 pixel resolution. Now I'll switch over to my video capture device so you can get a good look at the quality of the video signal. Now let's go over the things I like about the RG300X. The overall design looks nice. I kind of like the Game Boy Micro look to it. It has a mini HDMI output for connecting to a TV or a monitor, and while it's larger than I expected, it is still pocketable. The aspect ratio is suited for most games, and it has dual front-facing speakers, which sound very good. Now we'll discuss the things that I didn't particularly like about the RG300X. It's using an older JZ4770 processor, which means you won't be able to play N64, Dreamcast, or PSP games on this particular device. The front end is a bit dated, it's a definite fingerprint magnet, and I found the LED lights to be a bit distracting at night. Given the age of the technology in this device, I think it's priced about $20 too high. That brings us to the end of another video. If you enjoyed it, please click the like button. If you'd like to see more from Wagner's Tech Talk, please click the subscribe. And with that, I will talk to you very soon.